I am so excited to be here interviewing a friend, but also a comedy icon who I really look up to. Everybody, please give it up for Quinta Brunson.
Hi, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's actually get into that.
My hair?
I love this haircut.
Thanks,
and I
girl.
feel like sometimes a haircut is just a haircut, and sometimes a haircut is Janine with a middle part.
Yes.
You know, is that what's going on here? New era?
Yeah, absolutely. You get it. I think hair is important for people. And like you said with Janine, Janine's little hair changes are subtle, but are an important track of her development as a person, as a woman, and the middle part. It was funny, at the beginning of this season, me and my hair department, when we got in the chair, we were like, wait, she's back in school. Are we going back to middle part or side part? What are we gonna do? But we had a real conversation about where she was now, so we decided to stick to the middle part.
Yes.
And, you'll see some fun little stuff with her hair that's big to us. I don't know if it'll be big to you guys.
No, it's big.
But
the
you'll see
moment
some-
she had a middle part, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
what's going on with Janine?
There'll be some other fun things this season that I mean are monumental to the cast and crew of Abbott Elementary. But I don't know, I hope the audience loves it as much. And then me personally, I was just tired of hair. And I just had to cut it off.
I love it. I love it. So I really want to get into Abbott this season, but I have a lot of other questions before we get there. So people probably know you from BuzzFeed, from viral videos, and then from Abbott. But there's a lot that happened in between, and people probably don't know like the work, the craft, all the little side routes that happened that were like almost shows. Woo!
Yeah.
I've seen so much.
You have. Yes.
So I'm curious, I want to talk a little bit about how you developed your comedic voice. I know you started off at Second City in Chicago doing improv. Is that as white as I imagine?
You know what's funny? Not my introduction to it. It wasn't.
Really?
When I first got to Second City, Keegan Michael Key and Jordan Peele were actually on the main stage.
Oh.
And so they actually were starting a show, I can't remember the name of it, but that was, that had all the black players in Chicago come do a show every Saturday night, and I used to go watch that. And I had the experience of having a very diverse Second City.
Wow.
I think I came there maybe like 2012.
Okay.
And it hadn't always been that way, but it was starting to become that way while I was there. And that was really special. I was fortunate enough to get to watch people like Shelley Gossman perform. A lot of people don't know her, but she wrote a lot of Kristen Wiig sketches on SNL when Kristen Wiig first started. And she was just an incredible writer who gave me money out of her pocket to take writing courses. I credit her with a lot of the reason why I'm here. And it was $500. It was nothing to her. But to me, it was everything because I didn't have
Is this a white woman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is what we call a white ally.
That's what we call reparations.
That is reparations.
She was incredible, and she really took care of me. So I had a really beautiful experience. Yeah, and it helped me refine, more than anything, Second City did help me learn how to perform on stage, but it made me hone in on comedy writing as a real art form, profession. Something that was coveted to me, knowing that it was more than just being funny, more than just writing jokes. It helped me hone in on humor and the humanity, which I think are different things from just telling jokes. Yeah.
Part of your comedy journey also includes stand-up.
Yes.
I had the pleasure of seeing you do stand-up once.
When?
I've been to LA like 3 times, and it was one of those times.
Yeah.
What is time, girl? I don't know.
Yeah, what is it? What's going on?
You killed, and I
was really good at stand-up.
You killed.
I'm not afraid to say I'm good at something.
Period. Let's talk about it.
I'm really not. I'm not. I was very good at it.
So why did you pursue that further?
Because stand-up is not, 2 reasons. To do stand-up, you have to go out. Get a load of this. So you have to go out at 12 a.m. And be out there. And you're at the stand-up venue, and you're supposed to be going on stage. And then they say, hey, Quinta, I'm sorry, Judd Apatow just came in, and he's going to do a set. and he's gonna do 50 minutes. And then you're gonna be sitting there waiting for 50 minutes. And then before you know it, it's 1 a.m. And then you don't have anything to do, so you pick up a smoking habit. Ooh. And you are around some of the worst people you've ever met. Very funny, but the worst people. And I just was like, this is not my chosen path. I respect stand-up so much. And when they can really stick it out, especially women. The other thing is you have to go on tour. Who wants to go on tour with a period? Not me.
Period.
And I didn't have what it took. And then the main, if not only reason, was I think it's okay for people to realize their preferred methods of storytelling. And I wasn't a singular storyteller. Was I good at it? Absolutely.
Okay.
But I love to storytell in a group. I love a writer's room. I love being a part of an ensemble. And stand-up is, you're up there by yourself, you hold audience hostage, and it can be a wonderful experience, but I found it very masturbatory, and I didn't like that. I did. I was like, what am I doing? It's not my relationship with storytelling or my relationship with the audiences or my relationship with the work. So I made an executive decision to not do it and never go back. But I still love watching stand-up because, like I said, while it is singular, and yes, masturbatory, I do think it is one of the most, it's like watching a pop star perform by themselves on the stage. And there's something really incredible about that, that not everyone can do, including me. And when people, earlier I saw Ali Wong, and Ali Wong is
incredible.
Unreal to command a stage like that. Ali Wong's like shorter than me. And she's done it pregnant. And it's she's totally in control. So I find her fascinating, but yeah.
Shout out to Ali Wong.
Shout
One
out
of the
to
best
Ali.
rom-coms of the
I know.
Call Me.
Nope. Always Be My Maybe. It's so good. You know, if
So
Ali
good.
were like a man, people wouldn't shut up about how she's the best stand-up on the planet. She's so good.
And about revitalizing the rom-com genre. We're
The
not giving
rom-com,
her
the specials, her specials have been some of the. All right, let me not.
All right, yeah. It's not about Ali Wong. Shout out to you, girl.
Shout out to Ali.
So you're doing all that in LA, and then you also end up getting a job at BuzzFeed where you get to use all their equipment to make these really popular viral videos.
Why'd you say it like that? Use all their equipment. Yes.
You took over.
Yeah.
I'm curious when you decided it was time to leave there, because it was a steady gig. We loved health insurance.
We loved it.
And that you had equipment, resources.
Yes, and Heben and I worked at BuzzFeed at the same time.
Yes, I was on the East Coast, West Coast.
West Coast. The only time we would talk is through Slack.
Yeah.
And then we see each other every once in a while. And you guys had a similar experience. You had of really building something very special out of this 9-to-5 job we all happen to have. It was time for me to leave when my outside pursuits became more prominent. And as you know, while we were working there, there was kind of that contract that you, I'm not sure if you guys had that on the East Coast, but
we had some version of it that was also bullshit.
Yeah, so it was like you can work for other digital companies. I get it. I used to work for Apple. You couldn't have an Android on the floor. I understood it.
Respect.
Yeah, that's the way it goes with companies. And you can work for other web companies. And it was a 9-to-5, so I couldn't say, hey guys, I'd like to leave to go film an episode of blank, 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 and expect that to be okay when other people couldn't do it. And at the time, I was making good money. I made more money than I ever made in my life, or anyone in my family had ever made at BuzzFeed. But I didn't want to disrupt the culture or system, so I knew that it was time for me to take a chance and go and try to. The thing that really got me out was I got to be on an episode of New Girl, which was my favorite show.
Cameo that I caught on my rewatch earlier this.
I forget about it. I've rewatched the season. I'm like, whoa! I have so many times. It's so small, but I remember being like, I'm gonna do this more than anything in the world, and it wouldn't be fair of me to ask to have off for 3 days to do this. And so I had a lot of faith in myself. I'd saved some money, and I knew it was time to go.
Word.
Yeah.
So after BuzzFeed, you pitched a bunch of shows and sold 3. A 30 Rock-esque show about a newsroom to Shonda Land ABC. Yes?
Yes.
A show called Quinta and Jermaine with comedian Jermaine Fowler about 2 childhood friends with who find themselves expecting a child. And that was to CBS, multicam. and a show about a self-centered black girl boss to HBO Max. What was that experience like, and why have I been deprived of these shows?
The first one, that's funny. So much time has gone past. I don't even remember the first one. I remember it because you said it. But that was great. I really took the positives from each thing. The show I worked on with Shonda and Betsy Beers was her name, producer at the time. It taught me a lot about making TV. Taught me about getting into TV. And that was just talking. So there's so many stages. We're having a meeting. We're in development. We're actually selling and pitching to networks. That was just talking. So we never really got off the ground with that. But it was incredible to meet with them and say, wow, Shonda Rhimes is interested in me.
Hell yeah.
I was still working at BuzzFeed at the time, and I wasn't ready to leave. And then the next show was CBS. That was with Larry Wilmore and Jermaine. It was very hard to mix what we were trying to do with CBS's audience. CBS is really specific. And
even though it was multicam?
Yeah, because it's not about multicam as much. A perfect example was my character was catching the bus to work. She worked at the DC Museum, the Smithsonian, basically. And CBS came back and they were like, can she not catch the bus? And
they objected to the bus?
I genuinely didn't understand why they had a problem with it. They were like, could she drive a Nissan? And I was like, what are you saying about Nissans? It was just, and I just said, this is not gonna work, and I knew it. But what I took away from that was the very positive experience of working with Larry Wilmore, the very positive experience about learning what it means to make network television, learning how a multicam is different from a single cam or a mockumentary. A multicam, when there's a really good multicam, it's not by accident, it's on purpose, and it's a different way of writing. You're writing the jokes differently, you're writing the way characters enter and exit a room differently, because multicam is built on characters entering a room and exiting a room. So I learned very quickly from Larry, you can't have people doing nothing in a scene in a multicam. They cannot text each other, doors have to open. And that changed like my life, and it's something that I still apply to single cam too, because it rolls over. And then when I developed with Max about the girl boss thing, I just think the world wasn't ready for that show yet.
What do you mean?
I think the girl was a villain, and I think that
as girl bosses tend to be.
But I think that they weren't ready to call that out yet in that way. And I think, and I talk about this all the time with Abbott, in a way, it's okay for right now a white character to be the villain, but right now, for a minority character, it's like, I'm not comfortable with you being the villain yet. Or you knowing that you're the villain. Or you being in control of the character being the villain in this very specific way. The character was very like Alec Baldwin in 30 Rock.
But a black woman, girl boss.
Yeah, and it was really hard for people to wrap their heads around. Because Jack Donaghy's very in control.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I'm a Republican. Like, yeah, like he was very like, fuck Barack Obama. All of that was coming out, and we laughed at it. But they weren't ready to hear that yet, I think, from a black woman character that they were like, whoa. And that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
And maybe they were right. Maybe.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
How did you learn how to write a pilot and pitch a show?
That was a combination of Second City, my own research, just going.
What's your own research?
I picked up every book I could about comedy at a point, from top to bottom, from Buster Keaton to Amy Sedaris's like novel to How to Write for TV was a really good book I picked up. It looks really jank. It has like, it does. It like if you would see it and be like, this is clearly like
self-published crap.
Yeah, but it's really good. It's one of the best, because making a pilot is also just as much about selling a pilot. You can make the best thing in the world, but it also has to sell, and it has to reach audiences. If you want it to be niche, then you need to know it's niche. And if you want it to be broad, you need to be able to sell that in the room. So I think that was just as important. Every show I ever pitched sold in the room, but that's because I learned how to sell, and that's just as important. You have to be able to sell a thing, you know. What's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio with the Quaaludes? What's that movie?
Wolf of Wall Street with the
You know when he's selling the pen or whatever? And he's like, sell me this. That's very much selling TV. Like, great, you have a pen. I don't care. You think your show's the best show in the world. I don't care. You have to know how to sell it. You have to make it look there is an open spot in the marketplace, you have to let them know why it's gonna fit the spot that they have open, or let them know that they have a spot open, because they might not know. And I felt like that happened with me and ABC with Abbott. I was like, you have a huge missing. Like they're missing a huge thing, and they got it, and so the show like went on air.
Oh, yes, history. At this time, you were also acting. You started a Black Lady sketch show. You were cast as the co-lead. Oh, yes, yes. You were cast as the co-lead of a CW sci-fi comedy that never made it to air.
Thank God.
We'll never know.
Thank God.
What was it like acting in something you hadn't written or like didn't have control over?
I like to be an actress in something that I really trust. And what was interesting about that is I did trust the material. Actually, the guys who did that pilot are now my co-producers on Abbott.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, and because I loved working with them and they were wonderful. But the CW, it was an hour-long drama. And I was gonna have to move to Vancouver.
Oof.
And I was gonna have to live in Vancouver for 9 months out of the year. And I was not ready to make that life adjustment for this show. And I didn't trust the material that much to be able to do it. So I was a little nervous about that, but I like these guys. The character was originally supposed to be a redheaded German girl. And then I auditioned and they said, we want you. And I was like, well, you know what I can't say? A bunch of German shit, so you have to. And so they worked with me and heard me out and changed.
She can be French.
I was like, I don't know, I can't give you German. I'm sorry, Mr. Mike, man. He put this here so nice.
We good on the mic?
Okay, good. So that was tough, but I currently love to act in other people's projects because I do think it's great to like the material and just show up and do just that job. So I really enjoy being, I describe it as like paintbrush on somebody else's canvas. It feels good, yeah.
So all of that work kind of culminated to giving you all the skills to make Abbott.
Yes, which is why I'm grateful for that CW experience, because I also got to see what it looked like for a pilot to be shot, worked on, retooled in the process, and still not get picked up. And I felt like, oh, this is really just, you never know.
Oh, you never know.
You never know. You never know. Unless you know, which I knew with Abbott.
You knew immediately.
I knew once I saw the pilot filmed, I was like, yeah, this is, so if you don't want this, then that's okay, and I will go do some other kind of profession, because I really felt like that was the best I had to offer, and I thought it would be good for ABC too, or good for TV. So yeah, that was gonna be a point where I think I was gonna check out, but I didn't.
Oh man, I'm so glad we didn't enter that timeline.
Me too. Me too.
So Abbott is a classic sitcom. Did you ever think of having a classic sitcom theme song?
No, I don't think people have the attention span for them anymore.
People skip the credits.
As much as they think they do, and they want them back. The data does not show that we have and it's funny because of nostalgia, we have it for the old shows, but we actually don't have it for the new shows. And especially 22-minute shows. Yes, you have it for Succession, but that's a 40-minute long show, but most people, I don't know what that says about us. Although I did just learn something about all the red dye and stuff in our food did give us all ADHD.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, this is real. I heard it on NPR. Anybody? No.
Not gonna lie, it sounds fake.
Okay, but yeah, no, we don't, like, data-wise, people don't want to see that anymore. So I didn't even think about it with Abbott. I knew we had.
You guys are part of the problem. I watch the credits. Just a little like Janine to the teens to the. Come on.
That is so dumb. I love that.
So how do you come up with new stories for Abbott? Are you like tapped into the teacher community? Do you have an education consultant? Is it all? Yes.
Salute to you. I am loosely tapped into the teacher community. First season was very inspired by my mother's stories. but she retired right before. So I was like, oh, her stories are still valid because teachers' experiences are pretty universal. But as the times have changed, my mom hasn't quite, she's not there teaching anymore. So I have multiple friends who are teachers. One of my best friends, Lauren, is a teacher. A friend, Matt, of mine, a friend of my husband's, he's a teacher. And it's more just talking. Like, I don't tap them for stories, but I like hearing about what is going on. But I'm never looking for a story. I just want to know, what's up? The same way I would ask you, how's your day? How's work? I ask them the same thing. And through that, it kind of gives me more information. And my friend Lauren, she's a teacher at a French school here. So her experiences are very different. But she'll hit that universal truth sometimes that I'm like, no matter what you teach or where you teach, that's still the universal like landing ground for teachers. And I do treat it like any other workplace comedy. I don't try to have, when the first season of Abbott came out, it was actually shocking to me how much teachers resonated with it. I did not expect that, because I just approached it as a workplace comedy. The same way I think like, The Office was approached, or Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I just saw a great place to tell stories. But when teachers resonated with it like that, I was like, oh man. I was scared because I had a responsibility that I didn't know would come about. But in the words of Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So
All right, Spider-Man.
Sorry, Uncle Ben, my bad. So I took it really seriously, and I was like, well, now we have part responsibility to tell these stories responsibly. So this season, I'm like really excited for some of the stuff that we get to do. It's nice being back to 22 episodes because we have more room to,
Yes.
tell the baby story.
Yes.
We have an episode next week that I think is just classic TV. It's just a good episode of television. But it's about ringworm, which plagues the elementary school community. But
I did not know that.
Ringworm? You don't remember ringworm? Right? Yeah, the people now are like, yeah, I remember ringworm. It was so awful. Like,
damn.
Yeah, and so I'm excited to tell that story because I think through it, we also get to touch on other things. I never had an urge to, it's never really come up in our room to do like a COVID episode or to bring COVID into the school. But with this ringworm episode, I'm like, we hit every single marker about something spreading and not being able to get it under control. And it ultimately winning at the end. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
Good teaser.
I know, I just said the whole episode, my bad. That's why I don't like to talk.
Do you have any like comedy story rules you always adhere to, or the room has like learned from you?
Yes, I think when you're writing a comedy with an ensemble cast, learned it from Larry Wilmore, if you put down a $5 bill in the middle of the floor, every single character should pick it up differently and do something different with it. And I think about that all the time. And whenever I'm writing anything with more than 3 characters, I think, how would each person pick up a $5 bill? Janine would pick it up and immediately want to know who it belonged to.
No.
And try her hardest to find out who is this. Ava would immediately pocket it, no questions asked, and walked away. Melissa would think it was a scam. Somebody set me up. Barbara would think it was a blessing.
Oh.
She might encounter, Gregory would think it was too dirty to pick up. And Jacob would go into a rant about capitalism. And I put up on the floor.
Wait, I love that.
And like, that's how you should do it, yeah. Yeah, and Mr. Johnson would say he somehow influenced the $5 bill's creation. He's like, okay, old man.
He worked at the U.S. Mint for some time. So on the show, you are writer, producer, star, showrunner. I assume you're like in the edit bay all day.
Oh, yeah.
How do you juggle all those roles? Like, I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
I'm exhausted perpetually. I'm tired right now. But I love it like it were my own child. I love the show so much, and I don't think that you can do this kind of job unless you love it down. And if you don't love it, I think it's going to be really, really, really tough. And it's going to feel like a burden, but it doesn't to me. If anything, sometimes actually acting is the hardest part because I have to like zone in a way. But I love being in the writer's room. I love being in editing. It's my favorite part of the whole job. It's my favorite part.
Why?
I love it. It's the final step of storytelling before it gets to the audience. And it's just fun for me. My least favorite part is production meetings. I hate it, right? I heard one, yeah. Yeah, right? It's just the most mundane, monotonous, logistical. I didn't sign up for that stuff.
Do you have to do those meetings?
I don't have to, but if I don't, a question's gonna come to me later where it's like, I'll just go to the production meeting. Why would I not just be there? But there's a production meeting, a concept meeting, and a tone meeting. 3 meetings.
A tone meeting.
Tone is my favorite meeting.
Ooh, tell me more.
Tone is when you're talking about, with the director, the actual feeling behind the words. So for instance, like a Janine and Gregory scene, they'll be like, so does Janine mean it? Is she hiding something? Is Gregory trying to show her who he is right now? Is he trying to play it close to the vest? And so it just gets into a much more beautiful, once again, another layer of storytelling. I like all those pieces that just feel like going into deeper storytelling. Tone meetings are great. Like, is this character supposed to be angry here? Are they happy? Are they sad? And some writers get frustrated with it because they'll go, it's clear, and it's not. And that's okay. That's why we ask questions and collaborate. So I love, with a show like this, we get different directors every week. So I have to assume that they're also working and not tuned in on what we did last week. So I love having those conversations.
So that's a meeting with the cast, the writers, the
No,
directors.
that would be me, the director, the line producer, AD, costumes, wardrobe, hair, makeup.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all the department heads, really.
And that's your favorite meeting?
Favorite meeting. And it's sometimes fun questions come up where it's like, I don't know, like we had an episode where Melissa's driving and stuff I don't think about where the transportation head, John, is like, now, is she in a classic Cadillac? And with that and is that Cadillac 2018 or is it 2024? Is it red? Is it cherry red? Or is it, and it shows you how much all of your department heads are thinking about the story. That even our head of transpo is like, what exact color of red? What year? I think Melissa's from South Philly. I've seen this car out there. It just, you get to see the care I think that all department heads have, and that makes me really happy. Yeah.
So you're also, like, the network model is to write, shoot, and air at the same time.
Yes, so for instance, right now, tomorrow the first episode will premiere. We just finished, yeah.
Yes!
We just finished, well, okay, so we just, wrapped on the 7th episode, but we had to film part of the 9th episode because we're doing Always Sunny crossover and we can only get those guys before.
Yes!
So that's what's also crazy. We're at 7, but then we had to film 9 and some of 7. And then 1 is airing tomorrow, but then I was in the mix for 5 before I left. And then we're writing 13 and outlining 14. And doing a story for 15. So it's a crazy way to do it, but it is the system that we work in, and that's network TV.
Yeah. So how far in advance are you like, you're good?
What does that mean?
Meaning like,
sorry. Like,
no. Meaning like you have filmed into this episode, you've outlined into this episode. Like how would are you always ahead like by 5 episodes or?
Yeah, typically.
Yeah.
We didn't get to do it during the 3rd season because of the work stoppage. That was abnormal for us. I think maybe only 5 were written when we started filming, and that was scary to me.
That sounds so scary.
Whereas this season, this feels like the way it's supposed to be. We are up in episode 12 and the first episode's airing. This feels like the way it's supposed to be. And I love it this way. And I tried to make it easier. I map out the whole season. So we have a North Star that we're going to. We know what the last 3 episodes should look like, essentially, even if they don't look exactly like what I planned them to look like. I think you should have a North Star where you're headed. So, yeah.
You had a strict...
These are really good questions.
Oh, Quinta.
They are.
Stop it, you guys.
They are.
So you are in charge of a lot of people.
Yes.
How did you learn how to be a boss? Were there people you wanted to emulate or a boss you did not want to emulate?
Bosses I didn't want to emulate. Bosses I did. I had a couple good bosses. One we don't agree about, but that's okay. And that's fine. We don't have to talk about it.
We'll talk later.
We will talk later. But I took certain things from that person. I had a very good boss at Apple when I worked at the Apple store in Century City. And I just think that people come first, business comes second. And that's how I try to operate. And I think it works.
So do you have like a, oh, sorry.
No.
Do you have like a healthy 9 to 5? You feel
We
like
do. Our
everyone...
writer's room only, which is very unique. Our writer's room starts at 10 and ends at 3. Very unique.
At 3?
At 3. We are out the door.
How is that possible?
Everyone likes their home and they want to go home. and I don't believe that working to the bone and working to the end of the night makes your show better. There's a lot of shit shows on TV where people work until 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Never believed that. I had a boss who I really didn't want to be like, so I did watch that person and was like, I do not want to be like that. I cannot make people feel that way. I don't want to make people feel like they're never doing a good job, even though they're doing the best job. And so I definitely always wanted to go the angle of encouraging people rather. And one of my favorite boss things is a Michael Scott quote. I don't know what that says about me, but he has this quote where he says a good boss hires people and inspires people. They don't fire people. And I live by that. I don't like to fire people. And I don't want to ever let anyone go, which is its own problem. But I'm proud to say, like, most of my Abbott team has been there since the first season, unless they launch padded somewhere else. But like 80% of the crew is still the same. And that's also from season 1 to now, because I do want people to feel like they have a safe place to work. And with mockumentary, you inherently just work less hours. So
how so?
So typical single cam shows, you shoot one half of the scene, right? So someone would shoot you, and then they turn the camera around and shoot this side of the scene. So that's like 3 hours, I guess.
Right.
But that's cut in half for us, because we have 3 cameras shooting everything at all times. So scenes that would typically take 3 hours only take an hour for us.
Wow.
And we also have kids and kids pumpkin, and so pumpkin mean like Cinderella. They can't be.
Kids pumpkin.
That's what it's called. That's the real name. I didn't make that up. I wish I could take credit for it, but that's what it's called in the business. So kids have to be out by a certain time. And
right.
We live by that. We do not play with that, and we have wonderful studio teachers who make sure that that's the case. It's not like Tyler doesn't do anything, but Tyler's like intense. No, I'm saying like that's not his job, but Tyler's intense about that because he was a child actor and he knows what it looks like when those hours aren't respected. It's a kid. Their development is important. Their schooling is important. And they go to school while they're in school on Abbott. They also have school. So it's a lot of things that make us have a really healthy. I go home most days before 4, which is kind of unheard of.
That's crazy.
I know. When it's dark outside and I'm leaving, I'm like, what is this? Like, I get really mad and I don't know at who, and then I realize it's at me because it's my show. So I'll be like, who did this? But no, I'm fortunate to have a really healthy environment. Yeah.
I don't actually understand how that's physically possible. You have 22 episodes. You have like 5,000 roles. You're shooting, all that. How do you manage your time? Do you like, by this time, I need to be in my home, everyone else can go, or?
No, that's what's crazy, because I like go out. I have fun, I have dinner. I don't know. I don't know. It wakes me up in the morning. I can't be like this for everything else. I don't know if I could do it with another show, but I do love Abbott very deeply. I don't know if I'll be able to do it after. I do think this is the last time I'll ever be in something that I write, because
oh, interesting.
It is hard. I do love it, but it's hard.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I'm tired. I mean it when I say I'm tired. I am keeping my eyes open for.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, right? Thank you.
I am so excited season 4 is back.
Me too.
I am so excited.
Did you guys enjoy the episode? Thank you.
So the episode we just watched, there's a white child. Who is this? And Ava's response to this white child is beautiful.
It kills me every time.
Did you go in there thinking, we need more white people on the show to like play with.
No.
Like we already got like Jacob.
No, that was a cold open idea from season 2.
Okay.
I was like, no, guys, that the writers pitched. And then I was like, wait, this might be the perfect way to kick off season. And I know I wanted to do the golf. So the golf course thing is something that's actually happening in Philadelphia right now. Yeah, right.
Wow.
So they're building a PGA golf course in this area called Cobbs Creek, and it's huge. And so I just find it to be fascinating that this huge, it's a big deal. You know, games are going to be played here. The economy's going to go crazy in the city, but it is affecting the environment. So I really wanted to make that the big bad this season. And I just like, what better way to show that than a child from that world coming into the school.
A white child.
It was so funny because it was really a funny thing because he doesn't have a line in this, so we couldn't cast him like we cast we would cast another child. So what I had to do was interviews with children because when they're not speaking, you have to do an interview. If you plan for them to speak down the line, then you do an interview, not an audition. So I felt weird. I was just interviewing white children all day. Very weird. But this kid Pierre is super cute. He gets along. And my main thing was how do they get along with our predominantly black cast? That was very important to me. It was like number one. I was like, I don't care if you can act. We can work with whatever. But he got along so well with everyone. And I could just tell through his little interview answers that he was a good kid. So he's great. And there's a lot of great little silly moments coming up with him. But he's really sweet. He does not take over the show, but he becomes part of Janine's class, and I think it's sweet. Yeah.
What is interviewing random white children like? Are you like, tell me about yourself?
Yeah, so what's up? How you doing? What'd you do today? And they're like, you know, I did It was kind of funny. Kids who did too many after school activities, I was like, I'm not sure if you're gonna fit in with, I was like, lacrosse. But so sweet. All the kids were so sweet. But Pierre, when I interviewed him, I said, what's your deal? Like, what do you like to do? He's like, just like to kick it. And I was like, you like to act? And he's like, yeah. I was like, you ever been on TV? He's like, I audition, but I never get the roles. And I was like, you're hired. It was something about him that I just adored. And he's been wonderful. And his mom is wonderful. That's the other thing, too, is kind of an audition for the parents. It's a TV show. But these kids, some of them, I've had them, I feel like a teacher, but I've had them for 4 years now. And they were in my class starting, and now they're hallway kids, what we call them, and they don't belong to a class until they get to Jacob's class. And we've had kids that started out in Barbara's class, and now they're in my class. And we genuinely will talk, like Cheryl has said, I had her first season. She has a problem sitting down, but if you pair her next to this kid, we literally talk like teachers. So we care very much about our kids and want them to have a safe, like, loving environment. And so we like to protect. We want to protect Pierre too. We protect all the kids, so we just want to make sure that it's a healthy environment for all of them. Yeah.
So this season, obviously, the big thing we're all excited about, Gregory and Janine. That kiss last season, the lower back. It was a good kiss.
Okay.
It was a terrible kiss. So there's a lot of these like false starts, and it's finally happening.
Yes.
What can you tell us about Janine and Gregory this season?
I think Janine and Gregory are really fun this season. I think the past seasons it was really funny, the idea was, do they know? Oh my God, I don't know. Do I like them? What am I? And it's fun to play that for a while. But something I'm particularly excited about, especially with a young black couple, is to see two people who are unapologetic about liking each other and are in a relationship. And now they get to figure out the hurdles that are kind of silly and dumb, that your friends who are in relationships who you see when they have little arguments, it's like, oh my God, you guys are so cute. That's very Janine and Gregory this year. And it's been really fun for me and Tyler to play. Like, we've really learned to interact with each other.
Mic down. What just happened?
We've learned to interact. Diva down. No,
Diva down.
We've learned to interact. We've learned to interact with each other much differently now. And
how do you mean?
Like, as actors, we had to change up like our body language. It used to be very, I'm keeping this away from this person. I don't want them to know. And now, even in that talking head, the one where Gregory jumps in, there's a sense of closeness that those characters didn't have before. They would have never gotten that close before. So now it's fun to be like, what do these two look like smiling together and being head-ass together and like being so silly. We do have an episode in the future that's all about them being a head-ass couple. Oh. And I'm so excited about it. And I love that kind of like Levita Alize Jenkins and Cedric Love, like two people that are just so into each other. And that's what they're giving, and I just think it's sweet. It's not going to be turmoil. It's going to be cute, and I hope good for the world.
Oh. Another big thing we're excited about this season, major crossover event.
Yes.
It's Always Sunny.
Yes.
How did that come to be? And it's such a kind of tonally different show. How did you incorporate them into your world?
So Rob reached out to me. He didn't reach out. He was joking. Like somebody tweeted at him and said, I think this would make a good Sunny episode about something, this Wonka thing. Remember that Wonka thing? And then he tweeted and said, I think it'd be a good Abbott episode. And I sound like such a loser, but I posted it on Instagram and said, yeah, I think this, like, hit me up, Rob. And so we didn't talk after that. And then we saw each other at Upfronts, which is, you guys are New Yorkers, you know about Upfronts. So we saw each other at Upfronts and we got connected. I really like Rob as a creator, which is number one to me. We are on the same page. He also writes and performs in his own show, and he treats comedy the way I do. We immediately had a bond over making TV and ensemble comedy, even though the tone is so different. We kind of have a lot of the same principles in how we look at comedy, and it was very funny. We're at Upfronts, and it's our show, his show, in the Bear, and he's like, "This is not a comedy," screaming at the TV. And I was like, you know what, Rob, you're all right, man. I was like, you're all right. And so we started connecting, and we got really serious about it. He was like, I think we could do this. And I was like, I think we could do this. And I didn't know if it was two dumb bitches telling each other exactly, or if it was two geniuses telling each other exactly. But I was like, I'm willing to find out.
Yes.
And I think we both have the same kind of people around us. Like my co-producer, Justin, is like, we can't. And Charlie, I think the energy over there was kind of like, we can't. And me and Rob were like, we can. And we will. And when we really got into it, the tones of our show were different, but they're not that different on principle. They have the same kind of builds. They have a optimistic character, a completely chaotic, insane character. They have a Mr. Johnson, which is basically Danny DeVito. Like, it was like, we can make this work. And the Philly alone was enough for us to try it because South Philly is only 20 minutes away from West Philly. And I interact with South Philadelphians all the time. It's not abnormal. So we really got into it. We ran it past ABC and FX. And once again, a lot of people didn't think it could happen, but the right people thought it could.
Okay.
And that's all that matters. And and they were great. Rob and Charlie came into our writer's room for a day, and it was fantastic. I love collaboration, and they understood, you guys knew what you're doing. Let this cook, throw us in. And we'll help where we can. And the other
so you were like leading, and they were like alley-oop.
Yeah. Basketball. And then what's fun that I think is public, Michaela is right. Michaela's a PR, so I just make sure I don't say anything bad. But right, so Sunny is also doing their own episode that is a crossover. So you'll see an Abbott episode. And then when Sunny airs, you're going to see the background of that Abbott episode on Sunny.
Oh, amazing.
It's really cool. And at the end of the day, it's just fun, good old-fashioned, exciting TV.
Yes.
And that's what I love. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've had some really iconic Philly people, Philly legends on the show.
Yay.
Yes.
Is Philly in the building?
Philly in the building?
Hi, sister. Yes.
Oh,
Where?
yes.
No way. I went to, what was it called? It was no one. All right, we can talk about it later. Sorry. Immediately just going into it. Here.
So some Philly legends like America's sweetheart, Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
America's second sweetheart, Gritty.
Yes. I'd argue first, but okay.
And then America's third sweetheart, the cardboard cutout of Allen Iverson.
America's for that order.
That order.
Yes.
Can we look forward to more Philly icons? Are there still some people you're like chasing that you can tell us about?
I'm trying to think. This season, I think we're just going to Philly again, which in and of itself is really exciting to me. And you never know. We're only on episode 13 right now.
Crazy.
Yeah, 13. And so I don't know where it's going to go in 22. And I really don't think about guest stars. I know it may seem like I do, but I don't think about them until it comes up. And so if it comes up later, yes, but I don't even know who at this point we would have. But you never know.
Just like a really good beard, a sentient beard.
Who?
A Philly beard.
Someone said a name? I love Patty. I love Patty. That's mother for real. But she is. And then some people are so interesting because you want them to be themselves. You want them to be able to, and then some people you want to play a character. So, but Patty's really the best, and I love her so much. But no, I can't think of anyone. No, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
That's allowed.
Yeah, all right.
We're in season 4 now. Mm-hmm. When you look back at like your original pitch document, how much has changed? How much has stayed the same?
These questions. How much has changed? I was just talking about how William Sanford Davis, who plays Mr. Johnson, that was a throwaway line. There was no intention of having a janitor character come in every episode. We just fell in love with him. And so we started writing him into almost every episode of the first season. And then the second season, we bumped him up to series regular. So that was a cool thing. I didn't expect, well, you guys will see, like, the season 4 growth for Ava is really exciting to me. And I don't think I knew that we would be able to get to that place with her.
What do you mean?
With a character like that, you have to wait and see if there's a want or need for them to be fleshed out. And there is a want and a need for Ava to be fleshed out. I didn't technically know that. Like, Janelle was just a killer, joke killer. But even her acting abilities, I was like, we could do more with you. And there are stories we can tell that I think we can only tell here on Abbott. So I'm going to work to tell them. And so I think we get to do a lot more of that in season 4. Some of the places we've gone with the story, the last season we did the drug episode, smoking, and
that was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that episode. I would have never thought hip hop would take us that far. No, I'm kidding. I didn't know. I was like, that was one where I was like, wow, we got away. Zach Fox alone. Like, when we first started, I did not think there would be a world Zach Fox plays Tariq where he would be on national television.
He's kind of a chaotic force.
Let alone the Disney ABC company. But here we are. So you never know, I think. But I think for the most part, the blueprint of Abbott is the same as the pilot, which I think is the power in writing a good pilot. The bones. It's like building a house. You want to make sure that foundation is solid. So that if anything happens and rocks the ship, rocks the house, that foundation is there. And that's what the pilot of Abbott was. It was a good, solid foundation. So for the most part, things are pretty much the same.
That was an incredible pilot.
Thanks,
I watched it and then I read it because I was like,
thank you.
How? And it's flawless.
Thanks, man.
I
read pilots all day. And I would like to read scripts. There are a lot of shows I can't watch because I don't like blood. So like The Boys, for instance, is a show I cannot watch. Cannot watch it, though. So I get the scripts from the WGA, and I read them. And there's another big bloody... Oh, Game of Thrones. Don't like blood, so I read the scripts. And I think there's so much power in script reading, just as much power in reading a novel or, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. I think it does something to your brain to be able to understand a good finale, a good premiere episode, and I like to go back to basics. So yeah.
How many seasons did you originally pitch?
I said flippantly that it could be 10.
Hold on.
I said it because I think there's enough meat.
Absolutely.
In a sitcom, yeah, you could tell a million stories about this world. So yes, I said that, but
How you feeling now?
Me?
Yeah.
Tired. But you know what? Every time I'm like, I get a second win. I love seeing my crew happy. I love seeing people happy. When people come up to me on the street and say how the show has affected their lives, it just like gives me an extra dose of energy to want to keep doing it. But I want to take care of my cast too. I want to retire people. If they get tired, it's hard work. Mm-hmm. I want them to be able to move on. I have Cheryl, who wants to work till she's 90. And I have Tyler, who's been on TV since he was a baby. And like, you know what I mean? And then, Janelle wants to pursue different things. I just want to make sure that I'm looking out for the greater good. And if people are tired, and I've been on a show where people were tired before, and I don't like that feeling. I don't want us to feel like we're being held hostage with golden handcuffs. That's not, I don't think you're doing your best work at that point.
Right.
So I hope that we can get to a point where it feels like a happy ending. I'm a big fan of British shows where they're like, hello, 3 seasons, and then it's over. I think America should do that more, but yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you a few random questions while I still have you. We're running out of time. Mm-hmm. Would you consider dropping the Brunson and just going by Quinta?
No. I like the Brunson. When I was little, I thought it made me sound like a scientist, but now I think it makes me sound really official. Like,
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
What is currently inspiring you, music, TV, film-wise?
Oh my God, that's such a good question.
Or what's lingered with you?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. I'm watching Agatha all along.
Yes!
Fantastic, and a lot of the show is practical, so no CGI, and it is showing, and it's fantastic. It's so good. I'm reading Young, Gifted, and Black, which is Alice Walker's biography with the foreword by James Baldwin. It's changing my life right now. Movies. I'm rewatching a lot of old movies right now to figure out why they're my favorites. So Catch Me If You Can is one of my favorites, and I'm like trying to figure out little teeny ways in which why that movie defined me the way it did. And Back to the Future is one of my favorites. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just engaging with it differently. And yeah, so I'm just, those are things that are like really inspiring me right now.
Working on Abbott is one type of writing muscle. What are some others you want to exercise?
I'd love to. I'm really exercising the muscle of being a producer right now, right, on other people's projects. So seeing the best in their work and using the knowledge I have now from writing Abbott to apply it to how to do this for other people. So I'm working on various shows with different creators, both known and unknown, to help make their show, once again, something that can sell. Because I think people have good ideas, but if a good idea falls in the forest and no one hears it, is it a good idea? So my goal is to get it in the room and actually get it on TV. And so I'm excited about it. And I'm working on writing a movie, which is different for me. Different muscle, or not working on, I have to contractually write a movie. But that is different for me. And I remember having a conversation with Seth Rogen, who his mind works in movies. Mine works in TV. And so I have to turn my brain on to beginning, middle, and end, and it's just a different bone for me. But I'm really excited about the movie, and it's helping me, I think, to become a much better writer by working on it.
I love that. A lot of incredible shows are being canceled left and right. What's a canceled show you'd bring back?
There was a show called Pivoting on Fox that I loved, and I just saw it on the plane. I know, no one heard of it. I thought it was great. What was this? Oh, nope, it didn't even get canceled. I need everyone to stream How to Die Alone because I would really like the second season of that show. I think I just preemptively was like, I need people to watch it because I think it has so much meat to be something so great. There are things that they did in that show that I have never seen. No one's gotten it right before. And she got it. Natasha Rothwell and her team got it right. And I needed to have a second season. It reminds me of like the first season of Sex and the City.
Yes.
Where it was like, oh, okay. When we watch it back now, we kind of go, what was they doing? But it has the meat and the bones, and I really wanted to get a second. That wasn't the question. So a canceled show.
That's allowed.
Insecure?
That wasn't. All right, we're moving on.
Yeah.
Final question.
Yes,
Last one. It's more of a pitch. Okay,
Yes.
something that struck me while I was reading your book, She
Oh.
Memes Well, incredible title,
Thanks.
incredible book.
Thank you.
Is how beautifully you captured Black girlhood. Would you ever do YA?
Oh yeah, I have a project now in the works about a young girl who is growing up in a hood, doesn't have to be Philly, but in a hood, and is in a fictionalized religion, but it'll be based on Jehovah's Witnesses. Because I think a big part of Black girlhood is being tied to we just talked about this backstage, some type of strict religion that affects your girlhood. It affects how you move throughout the world, your sexuality, how you own your body, how you own your mind. And that's something that I want to get. I think we've experienced it with the older women, but what it's like to be 14 and be a part of this religion that's telling you, if you ever show your shoulder too much, grow. But we've seen versions of it with white characters, which is great. But I think it's different when you are a young Black girl, especially growing up in a rough city, because I think the same thing that's saving you, which growing up religious did for me. I mean, that's the reason I was out of trouble. I think it's the reason why I didn't get pregnant. I think it's the reason why I didn't get shot. I do think Philly's rougher than people think. And I think being in religion helped me, but it hurt me in a lot of ways. So I'd love to see a nice YA project that explores that. And it doesn't incriminate religion or, talk bad about faith or religion or spirituality, but talks about the complexities of growing up with it.
Well, I can't wait to watch this.
Thank you.
I have a million more questions, but we are out of time.
Yay.
I just wanted to let you know.
I'm so excited. Wait.
No.
That came out wrong.
Let her cook.
That came out wrong. So tired. I was saying yay like this was the best. I was. It was
Yay,
really
it's
great.
over.
No. Shut down. This was great.
Everyone I've ever met who's worked with you in any capacity has said, this type of success could not have come to a more deserving person.
Well, thank you.
So I just want you to know.
Thanks, girl.
Yes. We're all rooting for you.
Thank you.
We love what you're doing,
Thank you.
and we are so excited for Abbott Season 4.
Thank you, guys.